ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to everyone and a good morning. With a round of applause, we would like to welcome US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti. So my name is Apurva Chaturvedi and I represent USAID India here as a clean energy specialist. Well, it's very, what do I say? It's overwhelming to see so many distinguished leaders from across South Asia and the world in one room at the same time in one venue. We don't see this very often. So it's very overwhelming, and a big thank you to all of you to be here. We all are here to deliberate on our future, on our clean energy future. And as the title of the inaugural suggests, this is a collective leap towards uniting South Asia for a clean energy future. This convening platform, SACEF, as we fondly call as, has the potential of our collective strength in tackling some of the most pressing issues of our time, which can really affect and impact our planet. Development, but sustainable development. And the actions taken here in South Asia will not only change the lives of millions who reside here, but it also will be an exemplar for the rest of the world. It's my honor to welcome you all at the South Asia Clean Energy Forum, SACEF 2024. This has emerged as a convening platform of USAID India that unites together leaders, policymakers, decision makers from not just the government but from the industry as well, to engage, solve, and act issues for a faster clean energy transformation in the region. We aim to catalyze collective action for leapfrogging to a cleaner energy future, and your participation will be very instrumental in that effort. With that, may I request all the dignitaries here, US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti, Secretary Dasho Karma Sharing from Bhutan, Secretary Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, Government of Bhutan, Dasho Tobge, Manu Srivastav, Additional Chief Secretary, Energy Department, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Government of India, Mariam Shahana, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation from Government of Maldives, Suresh Acharya, Secretary, Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation from Government of Nepal, Mr. Vikramasinghe, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Power and Energy from Government of Sri Lanka, and of course, our very own USAID Mission Director for India and Bhutan, Steve, to please join us on the stage for a ceremonial lighting of the lamp to mark the auspicious beginning of SACEF 2024. Please, sir. So the Minister of Energy for Rajasthan government is about to, he's a little late, but he will be arriving in a couple of minutes, Ambassador, so we'll welcome him when he's here. But we'll start the proceedings right away. May I request now USAID Mission Director to India and Bhutan, Steve Olive, to give his welcome remarks and address the audience. Steve, please.
Good morning. I'm very honored to be standing alongside such distinguished guests. Mr. Eric Garcetti, U.S. Ambassador to India. Mr. Hiranlal Nagar, Minister of the State of Energy, Government of Rajasthan. Mr. Manu Srivastav, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Madhya Pradesh. Mr. Dasho Karma Sharing, Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, Royal Government of Bhutan. Mr. Dasho Funsho Tobge, Secretary, Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, Royal Government of Bhutan. Ms. Mariam Shahana, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation, Republic of the Maldives. Mr. Sharesh Acharya, Secretary, Ministry of Energy, Government of Nepal. Mr. AKN Wikraman Singhai, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Power and Energy, Government of Sri Lanka. On behalf of the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, it is my privilege to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to the South Asia Clean Energy Forum 2024. This forum represents a collective movement towards reshaping the future of South Asia's energy landscape. As one of the fastest growing regions in the world, South Asia's energy decisions in the coming years will have a ripple effect far beyond its borders, influencing global markets and contributing significantly to our shared climate future. South Asia stands at a crossroads where its growing energy demand must be met without compromising its environment and its future. How we balance these dynamics will define whether this region becomes a global leader in clean energy and innovation, or risks deepening its vulnerability to climate impacts. Meeting the energy needs of the region requires rethinking entire systems, forging new types of partnerships, and mobilizing financial and human resources at an unprecedented scale. It means aligning national goals with regional cooperation, driving policy innovation, and empowering both governments and private sector actors to work in concert. That's where the power of platforms like this forum comes in. Today, we are here to strategize on how South Asia can turn the challenge of energy demand into an opportunity for leadership. To seize this moment, we need bold ideas, visionary leadership, innovations, and unwavering commitment from all of us. The United States' collaboration with many of you in the region has shown us what's possible when we combine our efforts. Through initiatives like USAID South Asia Regional Energy Partnership, we are seeing transformative collaboration across countries. But this is just the beginning. Today we can call on stakeholders, which governments, businesses, and civil society, to commit to a vision that balances economic growth with sustainable long-term energy solutions. Let's embrace innovation. From the renewable energy integration to cutting-edge solutions in energy efficiency and storage, South Asia has the potential to lead the next wave of global energy transformation. The region's rich diversity, both in terms of geography and economic development, provide unique advantages in testing and scaling solutions that could influence global energy practices. Achieving this vision requires coordinated action at a scale, unlocking financial flows to support the clean energy transition, and ensuring that these developments are inclusive, benefiting all communities across the region. As this year's theme, Engage, Solve, and Act, perfectly captures the strategic urgency of the moment. Engagement isn't just about dialogue, it's about forging new alliances and aligned for a shared purpose. Solving our energy challenges means moving beyond incremental approaches and thinking in terms of systemic change, the world is looking for action. Over the next 2 days, I encourage all of us to think big, to think regionally, and to think sustainably. We have the tools, the technology, and the expertise. We have the partnerships and the ecosystems to foster innovation. Now we must have the will to act and lead. Together, we can transform South Asia's energy future into a global beacon of innovation, resilience, and prosperity. So it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this forum, and we look forward to all of the conversations and interactions that will lead to action when we all walk out of this room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for not just your welcome remarks, but also setting the stage of what the 2 days are going to look like. With that, may I request His Excellency, U.S. Ambassador to India, Mr. Garcetti, to be here and deliver the keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Apurva, and thank you for your leadership and the entire team at USAID. A very good morning, namaskar, namaste, salam alaikum, kuzuzangpo, ayubawan. I hope I've covered the languages now of most of the countries that are represented here. But what an honor it is to be here, Madam Secretary, the mayors that are here locally, all of the folks. I wish that I were not a speaker, but that I were a mirror, so that you could see what all of us on this stage see out here, which is history, which is urgency, and which is a moment in which we see the beauty of hope, the possibility of what happens when we don't think in isolation, but when we lock arms and come together with the power that people have always shown when we come together. It is an honor to help kick off this convening of the South Asia Clean Energy Forum, a gathering that shows us we have so much more in common. The challenges we face, the threats that we have, but also the solutions and the possibilities that we will find together. When I first came to India to represent the United States mission here in India, which also houses so many United States agencies for all of South Asia, and our responsibilities, of course, in Bhutan as well, I had a meeting in Ahmedabad, in the state just to the south of here in Gujarat. It was convened by a very famous organization called SACEF. It is a women-led organization with more than 50,000 chapters of self-help convenings of women confronting economic, health, family, development issues. And I listened as a woman who works as a construction laborer spoke about her life. She said, Ahmedabad has always been a hot city. It's always been a warm place. But every year it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. She said, I work with bricks, carrying bricks and laying bricks down. And in the hottest days now, even with gloves on, I can't hold those bricks. They are too hot for me to do my work. And I worry, will I support my children and my family? Will I be able to continue my life? It hit me that we're not talking about tons of carbon, even though that's important. We're not just talking about dollars invested in climate solutions. But it hit me how personal the climate crisis is. That in our communities, this is about human beings who are suffering because of problems that human beings have made. But any problem that human beings have made, human beings are also smart enough to solve. We are a stubborn race, humanity. We want to live. We love to innovate. We constantly compete. And so those qualities of humanity are what we need to harness here today. Our competition to find new solutions and to do what other people are doing even more quickly. The stubbornness to survive so that our children and our children's children and their children will have a planet to inherit. And the creativity that defines what makes human beings so unique in our world. Let me start with the numbers here in South Asia. Today, they tell a powerful story. Please, you can join us on stage, Minister. Welcome, welcome. So, we'll give a round of applause to the Minister as he joins the stage. Thank you. If you combine all the countries of South Asia and add to it your friend and partner, the United States, that comprises, 1 out of every 4 human beings on the face of this planet. More than 1 out of every $4 in the world economy. 1 out of 3 tons of carbon emissions, and nearly half of the PhDs in the world. Think about that. 25% of the population, about 28% of the world economy, more than 34% of the carbon emissions, and about 45% of the world's PhDs just in the countries represented in this room today. If this room can succeed, our planet can succeed. If this room fails, the planet fails. That's what's at stake for all of us. But this region here in South Asia is the most rapidly growing region of the world, together with Africa. Surging energy demands, impressive economic development that is raising incomes, but with that also demands for more electricity, more air conditioners, more cars, more transportation, more homes. Here in Jaipur, this beautiful city, the Pink City, I came here first when I was 14 years old. Last year, there were 22 days of extreme heat. And anybody who lives in Jaipur knows, Jaipur is usually a warm city, but extreme heat. In my hometown of Los Angeles, endless cycles of drought and flood, of fires, endanger the lives of our people every single day. It doesn't make the headlines anymore, but on hot days, our citizens die. It's usually the poorest, the sickest, the most elderly. We lose lives in an epidemic that isn't caused by a virus, but it's caused instead by a climate crisis that we come together to say enough is enough, and today we help turn the tide. In the coming decade, energy demands in South Asia are expected to more than double. More than double. So again, if we fail here, the world fails. But if we succeed here, the world has a great opportunity to succeed in this fight together. And we can see South Asia moving more quickly than the global north did when the problem was caused. And the solutions have never been more robust. The solutions have never been more inexpensive. And the capacity has never been greater for us to be able to do this work. A sustainable, resilient, inclusive path forward that leaves no one behind, that lifts up women, our ethnic, religious, and cultural minority groups, that takes the poorest among us and makes sure that they are the greatest problem solvers as they are the ones that are suffering the most. So the Clean Energy Forum today represents the very best of humanity, not just in this region of the world, in this, I know they call it a subcontinent, but let's be honest, South Asia is almost a continent unto its own. But we also have the possibility of spreading the work that we do beyond the borders of this region to help solve the climate crisis in the Americas, in Africa, in Europe, in all parts of the world. And the United States government is deeply committed not to teaching and preaching, but listening and learning and convening so that the relationships that we have built here today will sustain for the work that we have ahead. So we're looking to do 3 things. 3 things to be able to accomplish this in this convening. First, I'm so proud to welcome so many mayors and city representatives from both the United States and across South Asia. And we're launching the U.S.-South Asia Mayoral Platform on Clean Energy and Sustainable Cities. Some of you may know before I was an ambassador, I was a mayor. And there's an old expression, once a mayor, always a mayor. You never drive through a city without looking at the streets and looking at the sidewalks, paving the streets and making them smoother, thinking about the quality of life. You think about the restaurants and urban planning, the housing, the systems of electricity and sanitation. And mayors are the implementers of the promises of national leaders. National leaders have the ambition to make big, bold promises, but they only succeed when local leaders implement the solutions. So mayors and local officials will always be my heroes as the ones who are innovating and the ones that are acting to make these goals real. We have 16 United States cities represented here today, and I encourage you, because it's part of the mission of the U.S. mission here in India, to convene South Asian cities and American cities together through sister city relationships, through technical exchanges. We have so many of your diasporas from Maldives, from Sri Lanka, from India, from Bangladesh, from Nepal, and from Bhutan that live in the United States, who would be eager to visit the countries of their ancestors, to exchange information, to build systems, to learn lessons that we can bring back to the United States together. So the first is this mayoral platform that we launch here today. Second, we are looking at, as we do the large work to reduce our carbon, what can we do in the short term to relieve people's suffering? One of the region's growing energy demands is cooling demand, cooler temperatures to survive the days and the nights of South Asia. And I'm proud to announce the launch of the United States-India Low Carbon Cooling Collective. And we invite all of our South Asian friends to join this and be a part of it. But we're looking to mobilize $1 billion by 2030 to help build up super efficient cooling, the manufacturing of this in South Asia, for South Asia and for the world. The collective will drive advancements in climate resilience, but also foster economic growth. You know, when I was mayor of Los Angeles, we were lucky. We implemented some policies that helped Los Angeles outpace every big city in America in job growth. And I had a reporter from Bloomberg News come to me and say, we've done some analysis of your growth. Why is it faster? Why is it more than any city, big city in America? And when we looked at it, we found that 70% of our new jobs were directly or indirectly linked to green jobs, to energy efficiency, like the cooling demand, to water efficiency, to green energy installation. So to all the local leaders here, do it because it's good for our health, but do it because it's good for your economic health. You will create more new jobs, more economic wealth for the people of your cities, your states, your regions, and your country by investing in these solutions. And we hope that cooling demand will generate those jobs. Third, we're announcing here that it's time to bridge the gap between clean energy projects being designed and actually being implemented. So we're launching the Clean Energy Investment Facilitation Platform to get you the money you need to fund the solutions of tomorrow. It will connect investors directly with clean energy companies across South Asia. So if you have a great wind or solar project, if you're looking at green fuels or energy storage, small modular reactors, the whole range of solutions that are carbon neutral, we will help connect you directly with the funding you need to accelerate those solutions. These three things, human capital, financial capital, and the solutions for cooling, together will give us a roadmap to improve our future together. And the last thing I'll say is be of two minds. Be very specific and be very global. In other words, find those goals that you can achieve, that are stretch goals beyond what you think, but be specific about how much carbon you can reduce, about how much money we can invest, about the goals that we will have so we can hold ourselves and the people we represent can hold us accountable. I'll never forget being at COP26 in Glasgow. I was sharing with my American friends and South Asian mayors last night this story. I was chairing a group called C40 of the 100 largest cities in the world that together with ICLEI, one of our great partners here, and UCLG, one of the other global, local government organizations, brought not just 100 cities, but 1,000 cities together. We were the only organization allowed to be on the stage with the prime ministers and the presidents of the world as they each stepped forward and said what their country would pledge to do for the future of humanity. And when the United Nations added up what 1,000 cities saying they would be carbon neutral added up to, it was the 5th largest country in the world. I was on that stage just 3 speakers after Prime Minister Modi made the pledge for India for the first time of the date by which India would also be carbon zero carbon, excuse me. And I realized that together cities have the power of any nation. So that's the second part. While you are specific about your city, specific about your state, specific about your region, and specific about your country, be global. Make those connections, build this network, and own it as your own. My friends, this is a call to action. Nobody said this would be easy. The path is challenging. But if in less than 200 years humanity has caused this problem, we know that we can solve that. In much less than 200 years, our people demand it, our planet needs it, and our prosperity depends on it. This is a hinge of history today, a moment I hope that you will look back on. And I'll close with this, that I invite you to imagine your future self, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 or 20 years from now, looking back at this gathering here in Jaipur, in India, in South Asia. Look around and see the people who are here. Remember these faces in this moment. And if we do our work right, that future self will say, thank goodness that I came to Jaipur in 2024 to make the commitment to act, to network, and to build this group to make sure that tomorrow this planet was prosperous and healthy for everyone. Thank you so much. I wish you all luck at this convening. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Ambassador. You never fail to inspire us. And the way Ambassador always talks about people, peace, prosperity, and all for a future that's our planet, he never fails to really inspire all of us when we have the privilege to keep hearing him, at our internal forums as well as outside forums like this. So thank you, Ambassador. With that, we would also like to welcome our Honorable Minister of State for Rajasthan, Shri Hiralal Nagar. Sir, welcome to SACEF 2024. Ambassador, you have already made my job very easy with the 3 launches that you just spoke about with USAID through its South Asia Regional Partnership, SARIP as we call it, under which SACEF is being done. These 3 regional forums have been established, and I will just give you a glimpse of what these forums are about. Already Ambassador has highlighted what they are about. Just a little bit more detail on these 3 as we launch these forums in this August illustrious luminaries that are on the stage and also in the audience. We also have the Mayor for Jaipur right here between us, Dr. Gurjar here. So with that, let me start with the Clean Energy Investment Platform. Ambassador also spoke about it, but clean energy in South Asia presents almost a 1.5 trillion investment opportunity by 2030. Yet, in this fast evolving landscape, high quality investors and credible companies often struggle to connect with each other. And to bridge this gap, USAID's SARIP has developed this platform. This virtual platform is designed to connect global investors with South Asian companies operating in the space of renewables, energy efficiency, electric mobility, green hydrogen, and other emerging areas. by reducing transaction costs and facilitating easier market access through a centralized portal. This platform enhances transaction efficiency, reduces entry barriers, and accelerates investment closures. As of now, as the platform stands, this hosts 25 active investee companies from South Asia with an aggregate capital need of 1.4 billion US dollar and 16 global investors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. With immense pleasure and pride, let me present to you the Clean Energy Investment Facilitation Platform. The second one, as the ambassador spoke about, is the Low Carbon Comfort Cooling Collective, LC4 in short as we call it. The rising cooling demand is set to reshape the global energy landscape. In a world striving for net zero, the surge in cooling emissions threaten to derail our climate goals. The trajectory for cooling has to be bent. To address this urgent need, USAID is launching this global initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very proud to introduce the Low Carbon Comfort and Cooling Collective, LC4. LC4 is an outcome-driven initiative with the goal of reducing carbon intensity of cooling through tangible and measurable actions. The collective has two main objectives. First, to achieve a 50% reduction in cooling-related emissions by 2030, and this will be done by enhancing comfort naturally to reduce the need for artificial cooling, and thereafter adopting energy-efficient and low-carbon cooling solutions. The second objective is to mobilize $1 billion investment for this purpose. LC4 will bring together like-minded partners who will commit to action towards these objectives. The time to act is now. Please join the collective to transform the future of cooling and drive decisive actions towards a net zero future. The third one, Ambassador and the distinguished guests here, as you fondly said, US South Asia Mural Platform on Sustainable City. This we are doing in partnership with ICLEI, a city-based organization. We all know energy drives development, but then sustainable energy drives a sustainable future as well. And with rapid urbanization and growth, the energy demand in South Asia is soaring, driven primarily by buildings, transport, and industry in its cities. To address this challenge, USAID India and ICLEI have joined hands to establish a platform that will foster knowledge exchange and build partnerships between the US and South Asian cities. By enabling a city-to-city cooperation through very target-specific interventions, this platform will promote best practices in multiple areas of clean energy and sustainable urban development. With a strong emphasis on collaboration and tangible action, the platform will unlock the potential of South Asian cities to meet their growing energy needs sustainably for a sustainable planet. It's an absolute honor in presence of the distinguished dignitaries on the dais, as well as sitting in front, the mayors from across South Asia and US, to launch, together with ICLEI, the US South Asia Mayoral Platform on Sustainable Cities. So now, the next phase of our inaugural, where we have the distinguished secretaries and leaders from South Asian countries. We will begin just in alphabetical order in the on names of countries, not in order of any priorities. But may I request Dasho Funsho, may I request Dasho Karma Sharing, Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources from Government of Bhutan, to please come and give special remarks.
His Excellency Shri Hiralal Nagar, Honorable Minister of State for Energy, Government of Rajasthan, His Excellency Mr. Eric, U.S. Ambassador to India and Bhutan, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and Kuzo Zangpola. At the outset, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to SACEF and AAP for not only organizing this event but also inviting us to this wonderful and important forum, as well as for providing us the best of the hospitalities for all of us. I would also like to thank the USAID for the kind and generous funding for this event. It's an honor to address this esteemed gathering at the South Asia Clean Energy Forum, themed Engage, Solve and Act. This theme aptly captures the essence of the moment, where we unite to confront the most defining challenges of our time, which is addressing the energy security and climate change, a sustainable future for all our region. South Asia is home to over a quarter of the world's population and is recognized as one of the fastest growing economic regions globally. Our economies have witnessed rapid expansions with a combined GDP growth rate of around 6 to 6.5% in the last decade. However, this growth brings with it an ever-increasing demand for energy. As our industries expand, urbanization accelerates, and living standards rise, we are at a pivotal juncture where energy is projected to double in next decade or two. But this growth story is not without its challenges. Our region is also one of the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, experiencing frequent floods, drought, and erratic weather patterns. These climate shifts are not only displacing our communities, but also disrupting our energy security. If we continue with current trajectory, our reliance on conventional energy sources will put us further from achieving the global target of net zero by 2050. Today, the energy situation in our region remains highly dependent on fossil fuels, with coal accounting for about 60% of the power generation mix. And this is certainly unsustainable, and this is a fact. It is clear that existing energy paradigm will not meet the demands of our growing economies or our environmental obligations. The path forward must be defined by clean energy solutions. In this regard, fortunately, our region is blessed with abundant renewable energy resources like hydropower, solar, and wind waiting to be harnessed. By leveraging these resources, we can collectively lead the transition to a low-carbon future. In this, collaboration is the key to achieving this transformation. Energy trade partnerships that go beyond simply the transactions are critical for us to build a resilient energy future. We therefore need end-to-end collaborations where countries share not just energy but also the knowledge, technology, investments, and infrastructure required to enhance efficiency, storage, as well as grid management. The India-Bhutan Hydropower Corporation is a prime example of what can be achieved through such partnerships. The two nations have shared a long-standing collaboration that has been instrumental in developing Bhutan's vast hydropower potential into a clean and green energy success story. It has provided Bhutan with a stable revenue stream while contributing to India's energy security. This win-win model shows us that regional energy cooperation, when done right, can be an effective tool for for mutual growth and sustainability. Excellencies, looking ahead, Bhutan remains committed to expanding its renewable energy capacity. We have set an ambitious target of achieving 20 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2040. This goal is not just about numbers. It is about ensuring energy security, economic resilience, and climate responsibility for generations to come. However, achieving this will require significant investment, an estimated $26 billion over the next 2 decades will be required. We recognize the inherent challenges posed by the seasonal nature of run-of-the-river hydropower projects that we have. In response, we are placing increased importance on developing our reservoir-based hydropower as well as pump storage. Furthermore, we are diversifying our energy mix by tapping into our vast solar potentials to ensure greater reliability and resilience in the energy supply. South Asia has a unique opportunity to lead the global energy transition. With the right policies, investments, and collaborations, we can not only meet our growing energy needs, but also do so in a way that protects our environment and fosters regional prosperity. The global shift towards clean energy is not just a trend, it's an urgent necessity, driven by climate realities, sustainability imperatives, and the growing demand for equitable and affordable energy access. The time to engage, solve, and act is now, and each one of us has a critical role to play in making this happen. Let us use this forum not just to discuss solutions, but to commit to concrete actions that will address energy deficient issues, not only within our own countries, but also as a region and perhaps globally in times to come. I thank you and Tashidilek.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Tasho Funsho Togge, Secretary, Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport from Government of Bhutan, for his special remarks. Sir.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and kuzuzangpo to all. Bhutan's context has mostly been already spoken by Dasho Karma. So I'll try and touch upon few of the relevant issues for us in the context of the SAREP initiatives and the SACEF forum, how it could actually be leveraged as a way forward for the region. Today, South Asia actually represents 1/4 of humanity. That's 2 billion people on the planet. And what the region also tells apart from the rest of the world is that we are very vulnerable to climate change, pollution, whether it's crop burning, industrial emission, or it has to do with transport sector emission. And besides that, we are also the most densely populated region on the planet. So therefore, this change to climate change action, change to this renewable energy future is become imperative for all of us. So therefore, the relevance of such a partnership as the SACEF and such forum is become very important for us in shaping the future course of action for us. For instance, India is slated to grow to be the 3rd largest economy in the next 6 years. So I wonder, how are we going to be able to do that in the next 6 years? That's not very far away. Which also, listening to the experts yesterday, actually spoke about growth in energy demand going up by 2 to 4 times from the existing baseline. So how can we actually achieve that? So to become the third largest economy in the region, in the world, this can only be possible if some of the call for actions that we heard yesterday can be carried forward. A small context for Bhutan. We have made this global commitment to remain carbon neutral for all time to come. Our constitution mandates that 60% of our forest cover is protected for all time to come. And data today reveals that, in fact, our forest cover is much more than 70%. We have also come up with very specific action plans with regard to transitioning into clean transport by 2050, whereby all public transport systems would be replaced by electric vehicles, 50% of which will be replaced by 2050. What was said and what I heard yesterday from the experts on the CBET panel, I was trying to collect my own thoughts as to what would be the best remarks that I could make today. So I realized that there is room for optimization. There's a great deal of room for optimization, whether it is balancing the supply demand, whether it is investments in generation of power, whether it is mitigating the fluctuation of energy demand and supply. And also, when you talk about the integration of the cross-border grid, the infrastructure, the need for market coupling was highlighted yesterday. And then, very importantly, the need to address barriers to cross-border electricity trading. I think this bilateral arrangement that we have today gradually has to move forward into multilateralism, whereby we look into the needs of each country partners. Therefore, I also realize that the traditional roles played by institutions is very important. Rethinking. How does the bureaucracy, for instance, interact with politics in terms of decision-making processes? What about the cleaning up of the grid? Because today Bhutan's need has changed. Demand for electricity for Bhutan peaks up during winter. And it is very important that somebody who uses clean energy source has to know that the grid is providing him with clean energy. Transitioning, for instance, the transport sector into clean energy is not meaningful if you are not sure about that. So therefore, I also heard yesterday from the EU, for instance, the need to actually bring together consensus building, the need to actually push for political will. So therefore, when you talk about generation or demand or supply pricing, etc., it's very important that we understand the larger economics that is working behind it. So is there opportunity for aggregation in that sense? So is there opportunity for improving how cross-border electricity can benefit mutually all the partners in the region? With this very few opening words, I would like to conclude by thanking USAID for its support, the SAREP partnership, the SACEF, the staff of the SACEF forum, and all the ladies and gentlemen present here for their very meaningful participation and their contribution to this knowledge sharing that I've been very fortunate to take part of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Mr. Manu Srivastav, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Government of India.
Honorable Minister of our host state Hiral Nagarji, Ambassador Oren, Mission Director USAID and the USAID team, all our friends from neighboring countries, dear friends, dear mayors, and a very dear friend of mine and Additional Chief Secretary of Rajasthan, Sandeep Verma, who's kind enough to come here. I must say that we talk of net zero. I have been in the sector for a few years, and I remember a time around 7-8 years back that when we used to talk of renewable energy, we used to talk about the ice in Antarctica melting and how it's becoming a crisis for the entire world. This continues to be so. But how the narrative has changed in the last 7-8 years is that today renewable energy makes sense not just because it keeps the ice in Antarctica from melting, not just because it keeps Jaipur from becoming hot, what Ambassador Arun mentioned, what it prevents Los Angeles from becoming exceedingly hot, but because it makes economic sense. Today, we are in a happy state where economic sense and environmental logic point in the same direction. Now, what you're doing is good for your balance sheet and it is good for your heart. We had the honor, I am working in Madhya Pradesh, we had the honor of setting up the first project in India which brought down the price of solar energy below that of coal-based price. At that time, Government of India companies used to offer something called a viability gap funding, something like a subsidy, so that solar energy could be available at 4.5 Indian rupees, almost 6 US cents per unit. Because it was thought that solar energy is intrinsically more expensive than coal-based power, at that time coal-based power was around 4 rupees per unit, around 5.5 US cents per unit. And the subsidy was used to artificially bring down the price of solar energy to 4.5 rupees or 6 US cents. At that time, in Madhya Pradesh, we set up a project, 750 megawatt project, that was the first project in India to bring down the price of solar below that of coal. Without any subsidy, we got a first year rate of below 3 rupees, almost 4 US cents. Interestingly, that project supplies, apart from Madhya Pradesh, 1/4 of the power from the project goes to Delhi Metro. And Delhi Metro, during its daytime operation, 65% of its power comes from this project in Rewa in Madhya Pradesh, almost 800 kilometers away. The next project that we set up, apart from supplying to Madhya Pradesh, supplies to Indian Railways in 9 states, and the power is actually used to run trains. We set up another project at the other end of these projects are very big projects. The first project that I talk about is 750 megawatt, 1500 hectare, area of 15 square kilometer. It looks like a sea. At the other end of the spectrum, we set up small rooftop projects where a private investor would come, set up solar panels on the rooftop of a building and supply power to that building. Again, we got the lowermost rates in the country. But the principle in such a huge project and small projects was exactly the same. The principle that we used, that we had to lessen the risk and uncertainty that a developer faces. And if we do that, we get developers who are willing to invest with a much lower expectation of ROI, and they can manage debt at a much lower rate. And if there is a project in which equity and debt both are cheap, then obviously the prices of solar energy are lesser. This helps also in greater absorption of solar energy, because the utilities all over the world, especially in India, are facing a continuous challenge of economic viability. So having cheaper renewable energy helps them absorb far more renewable energy. The story that I'm telling about is 2017. Today we have walked 7 years further. Today, as I speak, solar energy in India is half the price of power from a newly set up coal-based power plant. Today, if we set up a solar plant, it would give us power at 2.5 rupees a unit, almost 3.5 US cents per unit. Whereas if we set up a new thermal plant, it would give us power at almost 5.5 or 6 rupees per unit. So today, solar energy is roughly half the cost of coal-based power. And we are fast approaching the time that solar plus a storage would be cheaper than coal-based power plant. And then actually there would be no rationale left for setting up a thermal plant. So we are increasingly, this question is being raised that if you decide in favor of a new coal-based plant today, the plant would take 5 years to be set up. The plant should ideally run for 25 years. So we are talking of a project which should work for the next 30 years. Do we actually think that solar plus storage would not be cheaper than thermal, coal-based thermal, even 30 years from now? The way things are, I see that day coming perhaps 1 or 2 years from now. Even if you are more conservative, then you would perhaps put the number of 5 or 6 or 10 years, but definitely not 30 years. So there is a huge question mark whether fresh investments in coal-based thermal power are viable, and this is something that requires serious rethink from all of us, including people in the government and including people like me. Now is the time that we should also start addressing other problems of the power sector. Renewable energy should not stop at patting itself on the back merely about reducing its prices. Now we should start solving other problems. The other problems of the grid, decentralized solar power is becoming very useful. I would just briefly talk about two facets of decentralized solar power which we are trying to address the problems of the utilities. One is in postponing or avoiding the investment on upgradation of infrastructure, distribution transmission infrastructure. Decentralized solar energy can be very useful for that. And the other is, this is going into a little bit of an engineering, but in urban semi-urban areas and rural areas, there is a lot of complaints regarding low voltage. Low voltage is not because we have less power. It is because there is a lot of inductive load. So that requires providing some reactive energy, and traditionally we have been using solar energy merely to supply active power, whereas it has the capability to supply reactive power as well. So reactive load is a problem which is decentralized in nature. Now we have decentralized generation. So we should not use decentralized generation merely for active power, but also for reactive power. So we would have reactive power compensation at a decentralized manner, just as the load reactive load is decentralized. So now renewable energy should also try to solve other problems of the power sector. I would look forward to work with US aid to work on this, because we have some schemes in India which are perhaps in a very Goldilocks situation to solve this problem, because most decentralized projects in the world are rooftop projects which are too small to really move the needle. But there are some projects like Kusum A and Kusum C in India which are fairly meaty, fairly substantial. So there these aspects of renewable energy can be very useful, and I would look forward to work with USAID on this. I would really thank USAID and US Embassy for having organized this program which brings together all friends of renewable energy. I always feel that anyone working in renewable energy, usually they're not just doing a job, it's a passion, it's some love for the sector that drives them, and you have brought all these passionate people together. I'm sure, Ambassador Aaron, whatever you hoped for would happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. With that, may I request Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation, Government of Maldives, Ms. Mariam Shahana, to deliver her special remarks.
Honorable Minister, His Excellency Hiralal Nagar, US Ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Eric, Country Director Mr. Steve, dignitaries attending this event, representatives from USAID program, a very good morning and Assalamu alaikum. I'm honored to represent my country, Republic of Maldives, in this event of great significance where we are gathered not only to discuss but strategize, enable clean energy transition in South Asia. I just want to highlight that I was on a very educative and an amazing study tour for 2 days before we start this conference. This was focused on e-mobility, and without going into details, I just want to highlight that I came across various innovations, solutions that are being adopted in the Indian market. While we in Maldives will wish to take inspiration and adopt these excellent solutions, I will have to be mindful that the fact we, as nation of islands, face inherent challenges for implementing such solutions. If a densely populated city like Delhi is facing challenges in ensuring sufficient utilization of the charging infra, we can very well imagine the uphill task Maldives has to ensure economic viability of such initiatives. Similarly, as I understand that the e-buses achieve cost parity with fossil fuel run buses when they run for sufficient number of kilometers. Our population is dispersed across various islands, and we cannot have the public transport to serve various islands from common resources. Let me just highlight you that we have committed to achieve very bold targets under our NDCs. In this, in spite of inherent challenges we face in adopting clean energy initiatives, we will include geographical dispersion, limited economies of scale, non-existence of unified electric grids. Let me discuss the targets. Increase the installed RE share to 15% of the energy mix, reduce grid loss to at least 5%, 26% reduction of emission in 2030. And I must also share the fact Maldives has sought extensive support and assistance from the international community for achieving these targets. And I will also like to appreciate the support we are getting from USAID SACEF program. I would like to highlight few of the engagements. Preparation of sustainable transport policy in the Maldives, assistance in rollout smart metering, enhancing energy efficiency. We need to ensure security for our population. We will require support from availability of financial resources, technology transfer, capacity building. We are happy to partner with USAID SACEF program, which will provide us assistance in the said manner. Before concluding, on behalf of the Maldives representatives here in the event, I would like to thank the hospitality extended by the USAID members organizing this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mariam. And I cannot help but just state the message coming from Secretary Energy, Environment and Climate Change from Maldives government, who could not travel at the last moment because he was down with very severe flu. He has expressed his best wishes, and he says he's going to miss SACEF, and he's a very dear friend. So with that, may I now request Suresh Acharya ji, Secretary, Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation from Government of Nepal for his special remarks.
Honorable Minister for State of Rajasthan, Mr. Hiralal Nagarji, His Excellency Secretaries from different SAARC countries, His Excellency Ambassador of United States to India, Additional Chief Secretary of Province of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Steve Olive, Mission Director, USAID India, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and namaste to you all. It is indeed very great pleasure for me to be here in this August gathering of South Asia Clean Energy Forum in this beautiful city, which is a pink city of Jaipur. Objective of this program, this forum meeting here, and the key session themes are quite fascinating in the present context of need of collaboration for regional energy transit and grid cooperation between the SAARC nation and mitigating the global climate change, need of decarbonization, integration of renewable energies, battery storage system, etc., etc. Climate change is one of the most critical global challenges, driven primarily by the growing concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. International efforts, including the Paris Agreement, have called for concrete action to limit global temperature increases by reducing emissions. Carbon trading, a market-based mechanism, allows different countries, companies and industries to buy and sell emission allowances or credits, providing flexibility in how they meet their emission reduction targets. This mechanism plays a key role in mitigating climate change by putting a price on carbon emission and fostering investment in cleaner technologies. In this backdrop, I would like to draw the entire dignitaries' attention that during 4 weeks before, a heavy rainfall brought about a devastating flooding and landslide in Nepal, causing huge damages of property and losses of lives. Most of the experts speculate climate change is the main reason. If it is so, climate change is one of the biggest issues facing humanity today. It has also become one of the biggest challenges that need to be addressed collectively by all nations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dependency on fossil oil has to be gradually decreased, and the concept of transition to renewable energy has to be gradually accepted in all nations day by day. In Nepal, particularly in the electricity generation sector, we have almost switched towards clean and green energy. Hydropower and solar photovoltaic have become our main source of power generation. Thermal power plants such as Dubi multi-fuel 39 megawatt and Hetauda diesel 14 megawatt power plants are being kept out of operation since 7 years. That indicates how better we have been adapting new renewable energy generations. I can understand that other South Asian members countries might not switch completely towards renewable energy generations. But if we coordinate and cooperate in this sector of power generation, it would be easily achievable. Few days back, Nepal Electricity Authority, few weeks back, almost 1 month back, Nepal Electricity Authority, NEA, Bangladesh Power Development Board, BPDB, and NTPC Vidyut Vyapar Nigam India signed a tripartite agreement which facilitates 40 megawatt of clean energy to be sold from Nepal to Bangladesh using Indian infrastructure, Indian grid. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that India is in the center of SAARC members countries. So, India's role is prominent to form a common SAARC regional grid. Since many years, we have been talking to form a common SAARC regional grid, but now the time has come to focus on it seriously, sincerely and friendly. energy cooperation, development sharing, and mutual investment have become essential elements for the sustainable development. Without this aim of becoming totally reliant on clean and green electricity will hardly be achieved. Nepal target to achieve 20.5 gigawatt of clean energy by the year 2035, mainly from hydro and solar power, looks bit ambitious, but we hope it will be fulfilled through BOOT model, build on operate and transfer model of development. Out of that capacity, 30,500 megawatt of electricity will be consumed domestically, and surplus energy will be sold out to prospective countries like India and Bangladesh. On behalf of Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation, I would like to request you all to come to Nepal and invest in the power sector so that Nepal's green and clean electricity would successfully flow across the South Asian countries. Having said these few lines, I would like to conclude my keynote speech here. Thank you, USAID and the Government of India for hosting this important forum meeting in Jaipur. And I would like to thank USAID India for such a hospitality extended to our delegation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Additional Secretary, Mr. A.K. and Vikram Singhe from the Ministry of Power and Energy, Government of Sri Lanka for his special remarks.
Excellency, Chief Guest, Speakers, esteemed panel members, valuable participants, good morning to all. Subodhayasanak, Aibuan. I am from Sri Lanka, Additional Secretary, Minister of Energy. I am representing the Secretary of Minister of Energy. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed panel members, it is my pleasure to share a few opening remarks at this moment. We are very happy to be taken here. We are 7-8 people from Sri Lanka because very important program for Asia region countries, people, their future. I would like to share my experience in Sri Lanka. We have already got some steps to renewable energy development. Clean energy is now key global issue as economic growth increase energy demand. Millions in our regions, rural areas will soon gain electricity, which will boost energy demand to support livelihoods and improve living standards. These growing demands can be met with conventional energy if we want to achieve carbon neutrality. Therefore, the need for clean energy will expand significantly. We must be all ready to power more homes and businesses with clean energy than we ever imagined. In Sri Lanka, we anticipated these trends to look bold steps. We have nearly exhausted 1,600 megawatt hydro potential and opened small hydro power to private investment 1990, resulting in 437 megawatt of projects by this year. Our grid is enriched with 164 megawatt of solar, 263 megawatt of wind, and 62 megawatt of biomass. Our solar rooftop program has delivered 1,200 megawatt, making renewable over 65% of our electricity supply. This success happened because we opened up the opportunity to develop other renewable in 2005 by offering an attractive feed-in tariff and subsequently in 2016 an attractive rooftop tariff. We have also improved energy efficiency in most household appliances now fall under the energy labeling schemes by the Sustainable Energy Authority in Sri Lanka, and sticker standards are driving to market for efficient appliances. Two sectors, banks and supermarkets, are now under the mandatory energy saving regulation, and large buildings must follow energy efficient building codes. If any facility or bank branch is consuming more energy than the published benchmark, they are forced to undertake an energy audit using the services of an accredited energy auditor. Then they will be driven to improve energy efficiency until they fall below the benchmark assigned to their industry. Similarly, all large-scale buildings with area more than 500,000 square meters will come under the compulsory building code to make the new building more energy efficient. Our utilities were able to achieve single-digit loss levels in their distribution network, probably first in this region. Our electricity loss is roughly 7-8%. Looking ahead, we are committed to making Sri Lanka carbon neutral by 2050. This is a very important objective for Sri Lanka and global situation. By 2030, we aim to generate 70% of our electricity from renewables. This is our government policy on renewable energy development. Focusing on solar and wind with $10 million in investment opportunities, we also see promising future for regional cooperation and energy trade reduction dependence on fossil fuel imports. Sri Lanka energy policy balances security, equity and sustainability. These efforts will be vital to the energy transition, and we hope South Asia leads the way. We also recognize the importance of digital in transforming, modernizing our grids. In closing, envision prosperous South Asia that thrives through energy transition and digital transformation, becoming a developed region without the environment costs seen elsewhere. This is our century. And let's make it extraordinary. I wish the success of this program to give strong takeaway messages to the regional policymakers and leaders to drive the clean energy transition in their own countries. I would like to some matters to your attention, USA and other institutes. Clean energy inherently got these three issues, such as capital intensive, transmission intensive, land intensive. We as a nation, as a financial crisis and a landlocked, it has been a challenge to find funding, allocate lands and build transmission lines for clean energy projects. Next one, as a thickly populated nation, we believe our solar energy model should be deeply inclined to rooftops. We need substantially energy storage capacities in order to ensure grid stability. We need investment. We are waiting for large investment in Sri Lanka, very highly in the potential renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. We need investment and technology. Especially, we are trouble in technology partnership to work out roadmap. We hope South Energy Clean Energy Forum and USAID would be our hand-holding friend who will seal partnership with us. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to USAID and SACEF's official for organizing this event. Very important for forum. For our people and including South Asian people. Thank you very much for your good support.
Thank you, sir. And the time has come for the inaugural address by the Honorable Mantri, Minister of State for Energy, Government of Rajasthan, Shri Hiralal Nagar ji. मंत्री जी, आप अपने शब्दों से सभा को संबोधित करें.
साउथ एशिया क्लीन एनर्जी फोरम के द्वारा आयोजित इस कार्यक्रम में पधारे सभी राजनयिक कंपनी के प्रतिनिधि और सभी अतिथियों का मैं जयपुर में हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं, आपका अभिनंदन करता हूं। हमारे बीच में इस स्टीव ऑलिव मिशन जी, डायरेक्टर USAID, दाशो कर्मो शेयरिंग सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनर्जी भूटान, दाशो तोपगे सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट भूटान, श्री मनु श्रीवास्तव जी, एडिशनल चीफ सेक्रेटरी मध्य प्रदेश, मैडम मरियम शाहना, सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट मालदीव, सुरेश आचार्य जी, सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनर्जी नेपाल, श्री क्रिम्मा सिंधे जी, एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पावर एंड एनर्जी श्रीलंका, श्रीमती सौम्या गुजर जी, मेयर जयपुर नगर निगम, गुलाबी नगर में पधारे सभी महानुभाव, मैं आप सभी को हमारे जयपुर में आयोजित 10 और 11 दिसंबर को जो राइजिंग राजस्थान है उसमें सभी को आमंत्रित भी करता हूं। और इस यूनाइटेड स्टेट, दक्षिण एशिया के सभी मित्र देश, बांग्लादेश, भूटान, नेपाल, मालदीव से पधारे विशिष्ट अतिथि भी, सभी को मैं खम्मागणी करता हूं। देश में सबसे बड़े राज्य राजस्थान की राजधानी जयपुर में आप सब पधारे हैं। अत्यंत गर्व का विषय है कि सोलर और रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के क्षेत्र में देश का सबसे अग्रणी राज्य आज वैश्विक स्तर पर इस आयोजन की मेजबानी कर रहा है। अतिथि देवो भव की हमारी गौरवशाली परंपरा रही है। मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि भारत में यूनाइटेड स्टेट अमेरिका के राजदूत जो अभी चले गए हैं, श्री एरिक गारसेंट जी का भी, जिनकी प्रेरणा से क्लीन एनर्जी को बढ़ावा देने के लिए वैश्विक प्राथमिकता के विषय पर पॉलिसी मेकर्स, डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स, स्टेक होल्डर्स को सार्थक चर्चा करने का रोड मैप तैयार करने का एक ये सुअवसर मिला है। सम्मानीय गारसेंटी जी, आपकी ये पहल महाद्वीप देशों में रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के उपयोग में बढ़ावा देगी और समावेशी विकास के लिए ऊर्जा की उनकी भावी जरूरतों को पूरा करने में सहायक सिद्ध होगी। आपका ये प्रयास इसलिए और भी प्रासंगिक है क्योंकि इस फोरम के माध्यम से हम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र जी मोदी के द्वारा नवीनकरणीय ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में किए जा रहे अद्भुत कार्यों को गति दे रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 2047 तक भारत को विश्व के अग्रणी देश बनाने की जो प्रतिबद्धता व्यक्त की है, मुझे विश्वास है कि आपके इस संकल्प को मूर्त रूप देने में यह आयोजन महत्वपूर्ण पड़ाव साबित होगा। प्रधानमंत्री जी के सामर्थ्यवान नेतृत्व में भारत वर्ष 2070 तक नेट जीरो एमिशन, शून्य कार्बन उत्सर्जन के लक्ष्य को हासिल करने की दिशा में तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 2021 में ग्लासगो स्कॉटलैंड में आयोजित यूनाइटेड नेशन क्लाइमेट चेंज सम्मेलन में जलवायु परिवर्तन तथा कार्बन उत्सर्जन की समस्या को निपटने के लिए 5 सूत्रीय पंचामृत एजेंडा प्रस्तुत किया था। ये पंचामृत लक्ष्य है 2030 तक भारत में गैर जीवाश्म ऊर्जा क्षमता को 500 मेगावाट तक पहुंचाना। साल 2030 तक भारत की ऊर्जा जरूरतों को 50% हिस्सा नवीनीकरण ऊर्जा स्रोतों से पूरा करना। 2030 तक कुल अनुमानित कार्बन उत्सर्जन को 1 अरब टन कम करना। साल 2030 तक अर्थव्यवस्था में कार्बन की तीव्रता को 2045 तक के स्तर से 45% तक कम करना। और 5वां वर्ष 2070 तक नेट जीरो उत्सर्जन का लक्ष्य लेकर के चल रहे हैं। देश में 1 करोड़ घरों पर जो सोलर ऊर्जा के माध्यम से रोशन करने का पीएम सूर्य घर निःशुल्क बिजली योजना का किसानों को बिजली जरूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए और कुसुम योजना के माध्यम से 20,000 करोड़ रुपए के नेशनल ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन मिशन का शुभारंभ इसी दिशा में एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है। मोदी जी ने ग्रीन एनर्जी को राष्ट्रीय प्राथमिकता के रूप में शामिल कर भारत में ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में क्रांति लाने का एक ठोस एवं मजबूत इरादा दिखाया है। उनकी दूरदर्शी करिश्माई नेतृत्व में भारत आज नवीनीकरण ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में ग्लोबल लीडर बनकर उभरा है। मुझे आपको बताते हुए अत्यंत हर्ष है कि मोदी जी के इस विजन को पूरा करने में राजस्थान अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभा रहा है। माननीय हमारे मुख्यमंत्री श्री भजनलाल जी शर्मा के नेतृत्व में राजस्थान सरकार नवीनीकरण ऊर्जा के स्रोतों को बढ़ावा दे रही है। आज राजस्थान देश का अग्रणी सौर एवं पवन ऊर्जा उत्पादन का राज्य है। हमारे लिए ये गर्व का विषय है कि भारत ने नवीनीकरण ऊर्जा क्षमता के मामले में 200 गीगावाट तक का आंकड़ा पार कर लिया है। मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि 29.85 गीगावाट क्षमता के साथ राजस्थान इस बदलाव में सर्वाधिक योगदान दे रहा है। देश की कुल अक्षय ऊर्जा स्थापित करने में राजस्थान की भागीदारी 15% है। सोलर की स्थापित क्षमता के मामले में राजस्थान देश में पहले पायदान पर है। हमारी स्थापित सौर ऊर्जा क्षमता 24 गीगावाट से अधिक है। इसी तरह विंड एनर्जी की स्थापित क्षमता हमारी 5.2 गीगावाट के लिहाज से हम देश में 5वें पायदान पर है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि 2047 तक भारत को ऊर्जा आत्मनिर्भरता के साथ में समृद्धि के शिखर तक ले जाने में राजस्थान बड़ी भूमिका निभाएगा। तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे राज्य के रूप में हमारी अपनी ऊर्जा की जरूरतों और आवश्यकताओं को अच्छी तरह परिचित है। हमने जीवाश्म आधारित ऊर्जा के स्रोतों से तेल एवं गैस के उपयोग को कमी लाने, सोलर और विंड एनर्जी जैसी नवीनीकरणीय ऊर्जा स्रोतों से अपने भविष्य के निर्माण का फैसला किया है। करीब 2,245 मेगावाट स्थापित क्षमता का हमारा बडला सोलर पार्क, जो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा सोलर पार्क में से एक है, राजस्थान ने विभिन्न अक्षय ऊर्जा परियोजनाओं के लिए हाल ही में भूमि आवंटन को एक गति दी है। कैबिनेट द्वारा करीब 8,200 मेगावाट की 10 सोलर परियोजनाओं के लिए भूमि आवंटन की मंजूरी दी जा चुकी है। राज्य में उपलब्ध सौर ऊर्जा के संग्रहण पीक आवर्स की डिमांड को पूरा करने के उद्देश्य से हम पहली बार बैटरी एनर्जी स्टोरेज पर काम कर रहे हैं। पंप स्टोरेज को शामिल करते हुए एनर्जी स्टोरेज की पॉलिसी को लाने की दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। अक्षय ऊर्जा आज की आवश्यकता है। ये प्रदूषण रहित भी है, सस्ती भी है और सुलभ भी है। राजस्थान में साल के 325 दिन सूर्य की किरणें हमें बेहतर उपलब्ध रहती है। हमारे यहाँ सौर ऊर्जा उत्पादन के लिए आवश्यक लैंड बैंक भी है। इसके अलावा निवेशकों को प्रोत्साहित करने वाली नीतियां हैं, अनुकूल इकोसिस्टम है। घर घर रूफटॉप सोलर को बढ़ावा देने के लिए हमारी सरकार प्रत्येक जिले में एक आदर्श सोलर ग्राम विकसित करने जा रही है। सरकारी कार्यालयों को सौर ऊर्जा से जोड़ने के लिए हम काम कर रहे हैं। पीएम कुसुम योजना में कुछ ही महीनों में हमने 4,300 मेगावाट क्षमता के सोलर प्लांटों के कार्यादेश दिए हैं। कृषि के क्षेत्र में हम दिन में बिजली की जरूरतों को पूरा कर सौर ऊर्जा के माध्यम से पूरा करने के लिए समर्पित हैं। दक्षिण एशिया के देशों में अर्थव्यवस्था जिस तरह तेजी से आगे बढ़ रही है, उसमें स्वच्छ एवं नवीनीकरणीय ऊर्जा स्रोतों को प्राथमिकता देना आज के समय की मांग है। क्लाइमेट चेंज के उत्पन्न वैश्विक चुनौतियों को मजबूती को मुकाबला करना, अक्षय ऊर्जा का आम जन की पहुंच सुनिश्चित करने के लिए सामूहिक प्रयास आवश्यक है। हमें ऐसे फोरम की आवश्यकता है जहां नीति निर्माता, स्टेक होल्डर्स, डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स और विशेषज्ञ एक ही मंच पर आकर ऊर्जा की ज़रूरतों, विकास, पर्यावरण के बीच में आने वाली चुनौतियों पर चर्चा कर प्रभावी समाधान निकाल सकें। मुझे विश्वास है कि दक्षिण एशिया क्लीन एनर्जी फोरम जो चर्चाएं होंगी भविष्य की ऊर्जा की नीतियों को आकार देंगी। इस मंच के माध्यम से यूनाइटेड स्टेट ऑफ अमेरिका तथा अन्य देशों से पधारे अतिथियों का राजस्थान के ऊर्जा क्षेत्र में निवास के लिए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं। हमारी सरकार आगामी दिसंबर माह में राजस्थान राइजिंग ग्लोबल निवेश सम्मेलन का जो आयोजन कर रही है, आप सभी अपनी विशेषज्ञता, अनुभवों से राजस्थान की प्रगति में साझीदार बने, ऐसा मेरा आप सभी से आग्रह है। एक बार फिर इसी आशा के साथ हम सब मिलकर आने वाली पीढ़ी के लिए ग्रीन एनर्जी के रूप में एक बेहतर और सतत ऊर्जा विकल्प तैयार करेंगे। अपने इस महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर ऐसा सुंदर आयोजन किया, इसके लिए पुनः सभी का धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
धन्यवाद मंत्री जी, आपके प्रेरणामयी प्रोत्साहित संबोधन के लिए आपका यूएसएड बहुत बहुत आभारी है। आपने अपना कीमती समय निकाला इस फोरम के लिए। महोदय मंत्री जी, अगर आपने नोटिस किया हो तो हमारा सब पूरा पिंक सिटी पे ही आधारित है। तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर होस्टिंग दिस SACEF forum here. With that, we have come to almost the end of the inaugural session, but we would really like to keep the best for the last. And keeping the true spirit of regional cooperation, USAID missions across South Asia, USAID India, USAID Bangladesh, USAID Nepal, and USAID Sri Lanka and Maldives, all of us got together to bring out this publication, which highlights some of the best cases and best stories of clean energy transition in South Asia. We have contributions from the governments across South Asia, from some of the institutions like Indian Railways, ESL, and others from India. But this is really a celebration of achievements that have resulted from the collaborative efforts of like-minded partners in the South Asia region. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is proud to have supported compiling these best stories from across the region, which have really played a key role in clean energy transition across Asia. I would also like to acknowledge Government of Sri Lanka, particularly LECO, whose marvelous story also features here. So with that, I will request all the dignitaries on the stage to please release this publication, Energizing South Asia, Impact Stories from Clean Energy Transition. May I now request my colleague and dear friend Monalizia Hazra from USAID India to give a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Apurva. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks as we conclude the inaugural session of the South Asia Clean Energy Forum, SACEF 2024. Today, we recognize the significant challenges our region faces in meeting the growing energy demand while transitioning to clean, affordable, secure, and reliable energy. However, we also see the immense opportunities that lies ahead. It will take all our collective efforts, something which all our dignitaries have mentioned, to really convene stakeholders under one roof to achieve our goals. SACEF has brought together representatives from South Asian government, power utilities, regulators, development partners, financial institutions, developer, technology providers, think tanks, civil society organization, and all the clean energy practitioners. It is now upon all of us to take this agenda forward and convert these prospects into real action. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, the Honorable Minister of State for Energy, Government of Rajasthan, Shri Hiralal Nagarji. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here and gracing our occasion. It's been our pleasure to host this SACEF in your beautiful city. I would also like to express our gratitude to His Excellency Ambassador Garcetti for gracing the occasion and joining us today. Many thanks to our Mission Director, Mr. Steve Olive, for his welcome address and setting the context for the SACEF 2024. Thank you to our very distinguished senior officials from South Asia for joining us today in the inaugural session and sharing your thoughts and vision. I would also like to particularly thank our partners who have collaborated with USAID and developed regional platforms to advance clean energy transition in South Asia, which were launched today. I'd like to acknowledge our partners, some of our partners, European Union, Energy Efficiency Services Limited, International Solar Alliance, and Swam Shiksham Prayog, who have partnered us to co-host specific sessions during SACEF 2024. Finally, hosting such a big event is not easy. It takes several months of planning and efforts of entire team that has been working on SACEF over several months. I'd like to express our gratitude to the organizers, team members from SAREP, South Asia Regional Energy Partnership, and Advancing US-India Partnership Platform, or APP. I'm also grateful to our colleagues from USAID India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Washington, as well as our USG colleagues who have present for SACEF 2024. Finally, thanks to all our ladies and gentlemen, all the participants who are here today who have joined us for SACEF 2024. I hope you will find the discussion riveting and interesting. Let's engage, solve, and act. Many thanks. Dhanyavad. Namaste.